To truly grasp why the Battle of Lachish in 701 BC holds its place as one of the most pivotal and intensely fought sieges in ancient history, we must delve into the intricate political landscape of the late Iron Age. The Assyrian Empire, under the ambitious and ruthless leadership of Sennacherib, was relentlessly expanding its dominion, a force of nature sweeping across the Near East. Kingdom after kingdom crumbled before its might. The ancient power of Babylon, the maritime cities of Phoenicia, the Philistine territories, and the Aramean states. No force seemed capable of standing against the Assyrian war machine, a juggernaut renowned not only for its sheer brutality, but also for its advanced engineering prowess and unparalleled logistical capabilities. The seeds of this conflict were sown in the relationship between Assyria and Judah. For many years, Judah, ruled by King Hezekiah, had been a vassal state, paying tribute to the Assyrian king. However, upon Sennacherib's ascent to the throne, a wave of rebellion swept through the Levantine states. These kingdoms, perhaps emboldened by the transition of power in Assyria, dared to hope that the empire might falter. Hezekiah, demonstrating a spirit of defiance, refused to pay further tribute. Instead, he fortified his cities, stockpiled supplies, and prepared his kingdom for the inevitable war. Among these defensive preparations, Lachish held a place of paramount importance. It was the second largest city in Judah, a vital military and administrative hub, strategically positioned along a key route. Its formidable fortifications made it the most critical defensive center after Jerusalem itself. It was clear that Sennacherib would target Lachish first, seeking to neutralize this crucial stronghold before turning his attention to the holy city. The Assyrian campaign of 701 BC was a massive undertaking, mobilizing tens of thousands of soldiers. The Assyrian army was a composite force, including infantry legions, swift cavalry units, chariots, skilled engineers, deadly archers, and a fearsome array of siege machines. As the Assyrian war machine advanced, it crushed city after city, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake, until it finally arrived at the gates of Lachish. The fortress of Lachish was a formidable obstacle, built atop a massive mound. Its walls were thick and high, a testament to Judahite engineering. Lachish stood as Judah's strongest fortress, a symbol of resistance against the encroaching empire. Archaeological excavations have unearthed compelling evidence of the fierce fighting that took place there, including countless arrowheads, sling stones, layers of burnt debris, and the remnants of Assyrian siege structures. Sennacherib's engineers unleashed their advanced siege technology. They constructed the largest siege ramp ever seen in Levant, a massive earthwork that gradually rose toward the walls of Lachish. Under the cover of archers who rained down a constant barrage of arrows, siege engines were pushed up the ramp, inching closer to the city's defenses. Shield formations protected the advancing troops, while sappers worked tirelessly to undermine the walls, and heavy artillery relentlessly pounded the fortifications, systematically working to breach Lachish's defenses. The defenders of Judah mounted a desperate and courageous resistance. They hurled fire arrows, stones, and boiling substances down upon the attackers, doing their best to repel the relentless assault. But despite their bravery and ingenuity, the overwhelming Assyrian force continued to press forward relentlessly. Lachish mattered because it was the key to isolating Jerusalem and crushing the rebellion in Judah. Sennacherib understood this perfectly, and he valued the victory at Lachish so highly that he immortalized it on the walls of his palace in Nineveh. Unlike Jerusalem, which never appeared in Assyrian reliefs, the siege and capture of Lachish became a central theme in Assyrian propaganda, a testament to their military might. As the Assyrians completed their encirclement of the city, the siege of Lachish entered its most brutal and desperate phase. The defenders, peering over the walls, could see the vast Assyrian camp stretching across the plains, an intimidating sight that must have resembled a giant metal beast preparing to swallow their city whole. The Assyrian siege works continued to take shape. Engineers constructed a massive siege ramp, erected towering wooden siege towers, built protective shields to advance under fire, and dug earthworks and trenches to protect their own troops. All of these efforts were strategically designed to bring the Assyrian siege engines close to the southwest wall of Lachish, which was identified as the weakest structural point in the city's defenses. Inside Lachish, desperation grew with each passing day. Judah's warriors tried everything they could think of to hold back the enemy. They launched fire arrows, hurled stones, deployed nets to ensnare the attackers, and poured burning oil down on the advancing troops. They managed to inflict casualties on the Assyrians, but the enemy ranks seemed endless. Every fallen unit was instantly replaced, a testament to the size and discipline of the Assyrian army. The massive siege towers slowly advanced up the ramp, each a formidable weapon in its own right. They were equipped with archers stationed on the top level, providing covering fire for the troops below. Each tower also had a battering ram, a heavy beam used to smash against the walls. The towers were protected by iron tools and leather coverings soaked in water, making them resistant to fire. The towers were built to match the height of Lachish's walls, effectively turning the battle into a face-to-face duel, where soldiers on both sides fought at close quarters. A rain of arrows poured down on the defenders. 3 layers of Assyrian archers fired continuously, forcing Judah's troops to crouch behind the battlements, unable to effectively return fire. Slingers pummeled the walls with stones, creating openings for the engineers to dig at the base of the fortifications. The first breakthrough came when Assyrian machines hurled massive stones against the walls, cracking sections of stone and weakening the defenses. The defenders struggled to reinforce the failing structures, but they were overwhelmed by the relentless barrage. Brutal melee combat ensued as Assyrian infantry surged forward, clashing with Judah's elite soldiers. The ramp allowed waves of attackers to press upward, engaging the defenders in fierce hand-to-hand combat. Panic spread among the civilians inside the city. As walls collapsed and fires raged, civilians fled inward, disrupting military organization and further weakening the defense. Fires ignited across the city, creating chaos and confusion. Jerusalem could not help. Hezekiah, faced with a terrible choice, understood that sending reinforcements to Lachish would mean exposing Jerusalem to attack. Lachish had to stand alone or fall alone. As the sun began to set on the 3rd day of the siege, the situation on the battlefield had completely shifted in favor of the Assyrians. The massive earthen ramps rose like giant arms gripping the city, and the defenders of Judah were exhausted both physically and mentally. Then came the decisive turning point, the moment the walls truly began to crumble. From his elevated wooden observation tower, King Sennacherib surveyed every detail through a bronze scope. When he saw the archers of Judah slowing down the disorganized troop rotation on the walls, he raised his hand, the signal for a full assault. Immediately, war drums thundered. Assyrian shield bearers advanced up the completed sections of the ramp. Siege engines rolled forward toward the weakened point of the wall. They hurled bundles of wood, pitch, and flammable materials into the cracks and set them ablaze. Flames erupted. Black smoke swirled into the sky. The stones of Lachish's wall began to glow, crack, and collapse. Judah's defenders tried to douse the fire, but were overwhelmed. The Assyrians had too many men, too much firepower, and unrelenting momentum. Then came the decisive sound. Boom! A section of the wall collapsed, creating a wide breach. Assyrian soldiers roared and surged forward. Shield bearers pushed into the breach, while archers rained arrows to suppress anyone on the ramparts. The battle spilled into the city. Inside Lachish, the fighting became brutal. Judah's defenders set up improvised barriers in the alleys. They used the narrow streets, terraces, and stairways to slow the Assyrian advance. Some units used hit-and-run tactics from inside houses. But the Assyrians had prepared for urban combat. Axemen smashed doors. Troops set fire to defensive strongholds, and squads climbed into upper floors using ladders to ambush defenders from behind. The reliefs of Nineveh depict these exact scenes in remarkable detail. By late afternoon, Assyrians had split Judah's forces into isolated pockets. Screams, metal clashes, collapsing roofs, and the cries of civilians filled the burning city. Finally, an Assyrian standard was planted in the central square. Lachish was effectively conquered. The ruins, collapsed walls, burning homes, dead defenders, became proof of Assyria's unmatched military power. This victory sent an unmistakable message across Canaan. Resistance against Assyria is futile. The fall of Lachish paved the way for Assyria's further campaign into Judah and their approach toward Jerusalem. But unlike Jerusalem, Lachish received no miracle, only overwhelming force and devastation. Continuing, once Assyria seized full control of Lachish, the brutal street fighting gradually faded, replaced by scenes of exhaustion, smoke, and despair. The surviving Judahite soldiers retreated deeper into the city, but all resistance was futile. When they saw the Assyrian banner in the central square, they knew the battle was over. Many surrendered. Some hid. Some attempted to flee into the hills. But Assyrian orders were clear. No one escapes. Elite pursuit teams swept through Lachish, searching each house and alley. Commanders and officials were seized and brought before King Sennacherib for judgment. According to the Lachish reliefs, Assyria staged a public punishment ceremony. High-ranking Judahite officers were executed or taken into slavery. Some were subjected to brutal penalties, methods Assyria used as psychological warfare. The surviving inhabitants were gathered at the south gate as Assyrian troops burned houses and dismantled remaining defenses. Lachish was transformed into a deterrent for all neighboring kingdoms. In the aftermath, King Hezekiah of Judah sent heavy tribute to avoid becoming the next Lachish. Assyria accepted, using the victory as propaganda. The reliefs carved in Nineveh immortalized the battle, showcasing siege ramps, battering rams, archers, fleeing defenders, deported citizens, and Sennacherib receiving tribute. The fall of Lachish became a symbol of Assyrian military supremacy, a message louder than any proclamation. Assyria is unstoppable. Continuing, as the dust of battle settled, Lachish was reduced to ruins, but its significance went far beyond mere combat. The fall of Lachish was not only a tactical defeat, but also a strategic, political, and psychological lesson for all Judah, demonstrating the immense power of the Assyrian Empire under Sennacherib. The Battle of Lachish shows that destroying a key military stronghold can determine an entire campaign. As the second strongest city after Jerusalem, its fall opened the path toward the capital. Assyria did not need to attack Jerusalem first. By neutralizing strategic fortresses, isolating defenders, and creating psychological shock, they demonstrated a holistic siege strategy that combined technology, firepower, and mental pressure. Assyrian reliefs and records served as propaganda tools. Sennacherib turned Lachish into a symbol of Assyrian dominance, instilling fear in neighboring kingdoms. Hezekiah realized that preserving Jerusalem required compromise and tribute. Lachish exemplified the necessity of diplomacy backed by military strength. Lachish demonstrated advanced Iron Age siegecraft. Stone and earth ramps, fire-resistant siege towers, coordinated archers and engineers. These techniques became models for later campaigns in Canaan and Mesopotamia. The Lachish reliefs remain an invaluable resource for archaeologists and historians. Today, Lachish offers a vivid depiction of ancient warfare, sophisticated siege strategies, the overwhelming might of empires, and the fate of soldiers and civilians. The battle illustrates the complex relationship among warfare, politics, and psychology. It is not just a single engagement, but a strategic case study for posterity. The Battle of Lachish, 701 BCE, ended in Judah's complete defeat, leaving several lessons: military, the power of integrated strategy and technology; political, military strength shapes diplomacy; psychological, symbolic victories influence enemy morale. Lachish stands as living evidence of Assyrian dominance, reminding later generations that ancient warfare depended not only on personal bravery, but on organizational power, technological superiority, and strategic planning.